just really glad that a talk about anxiety happened right before this. That was very helpful. But yeah, I'm here today to talk about how we as engineering leaders can help drive product gaps, even though our title doesn't say that we're product managers. So I was going over this talk, this first question came to my mind. It's a pretty big question. What does an engineering leader even do? Does anybody know? This was my face trying to figure it out. It's a really complex question. I even asked ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, everything. They give me paragraphs and paragraphs of information about things that we can do as part of our jobs. That's the reason why we can have entire conferences helping us do our jobs. It's a lot of stuff that we do. So my best answer to this is that we do everything. But if I had to synthesize it into a sentence, it would be that we guide teams to build software that solves a problem. And usually, that problem isn't get better test coverage, increase our code quality, make release time better. The problem is usually something that's deeply connected to the company's mission that we're working for. Or better yet, it's deeply rooted into a problem that real people face. So how do we determine if we're successful as an engineering leader at the end of the day, if that's kind of our job? Well, this is a theory that maybe it's the amount of impact that we can produce on our teams with the stuff that we built for our company or the problem we're trying to solve. So after about a year of being a manager, I thought I was doing such a great job. I was working really hard to get my team to get all these statistics better. Their developer experience was better. But I quickly realized something. What does it matter if the code is perfect if we didn't build the right thing? So, question for you guys. How many of you have been in the situation where you've been asked to build something that you didn't believe in, that you thought was wrong? Or maybe you just didn't understand the value of it. Oh my God, that's a lot of people. Did you build it? Ooh, okay. I guess you need the talk. So we'll face this question at some point. What do we do from here? Basically, we hit a fork in the road. We have two choices. On one side, we can be like, hey, I got plausible deniability. I just write code. That's somebody else's job title. They know what they're doing. Maybe they don't know what they're doing, but that's their problem. And I'm okay with putting the fate of my team's success in their hands. Or we can say, I'm going to do something about it. So for the sake of this talk, I'm going to force us down the road of doing something about it. I'm going to walk us through a few scenarios that I've had to deal with in the few years that I've been as an engineering leader, where I've had to really step out of my comfort zone and try to influence the product. So the first scenario is you don't have a product manager. You don't have somebody whose job it is to go and figure out how to solve these big problems. This can happen for a multitude of reasons. Maybe you're working on an engineering team that doesn't have a PM because maybe it's a platform engineering team, or maybe resources are low. So actually for the past 6 months, I've been in this problem where I've been working on a core product engineering team without a product manager. It's very scary. So here's kind of the things that I did that had led to some success for me that I want to share. First is really get to know your customer, your client. And that can mean a lot of things. That's both internally in your organization and externally. You have to create connections with people. That means jumping on phone calls, meeting people, engaging in those company meetings, all hands, listen, ask questions, engage there. Really figure out where problems are. But you're going to get a lot of noise if you do this. You're going to get a lot of angry people all the time. A lot of people with feature requests for you. But you really have to figure out who can I gel with on some other side of the company that can tell me actually meaningful information. And I want to keep that relationship up. And then you're going to have to focus on something. Unfortunately, we can't solve it all, especially if guiding the product is only one part of what we do as engineering leaders, right? There's so many other parts. So find something bite-sized, high impact, that you have interest in, that you can drive direction in. Also, we're in a very special place as engineering leaders where we know more technical things than somebody else. And we can kind of couple those two things together to figure out, okay, I know the company is going in this direction. I know our code base is here. How do we gel those two things together to get where we want to go? It's a little bit of a scary place. You're all alone like SpongeBob, but you'll get through it. Scenario number 2. You've got a product manager now, but you don't really agree with their approach. So don't be the no guy. Don't be aggressive about it. This is not the person you want to make your enemy. Instead, this is the opportunity for you to be a part of the process. Oftentimes we have tech leads or more senior engineers that we throw things onto and say, you figure out what the feature is. Maybe this is a good opportunity for us to be a little involved there. Really have close connection with our designers, with our product managers. Start with small feedback, right? If they're expecting small things, little comments here and there, it makes it a lot easier for them to digest a larger disagreement with the vision. And ask a lot of questions. That was in the last slide too. You've really got to figure out what is going on in your company. And sometimes that doesn't really work. Sometimes you can't come to any agreement with the people that you're working with. And this is where it gets a little tricky, where you have to determine when's the right time to escalate, right? Especially if something you feel like is really going in such a wrong direction that you're worried about your engineers, maybe the future of your team. One thing that I've found helps a lot when I'm talking to my boss or maybe a head of product is I'm worried that we are not putting engineering resources on the correct things. Right? Just start the conversation with your feelings, but don't die on hills too often. Pick your battles wisely. Scenario number 3, actually everything's going fine. You like your product manager, you've got one, everything's going normally, but you have an idea. Ideas are really good. Don't hold them back. Pitch and pitch and pitch. And be excited about your ideas. Share them to anybody who will listen to you within reason, but also do your research. Figure out if this is actually have some validity in the market. How does this make you different than your competitors? And prove your hunch, right? Come in with some facts when you're presenting your ideas. And probably the most, the thing that can provide the most lift for your idea is targeting an MVP. What's something small that you could deliver with your team or even yourself that could showcase this idea and show to the rest of the company that this is something that we should invest in, right? Good ideas don't just come from one team in the company. They come from across the board. It can come from engineers as well. So, okay, we talked about a lot of things. We set up some scenarios, but what can you do? Just know, if there's one thing that you come out of this, is know that you can also influence the product. You are not a code monkey. Your teams are not code monkeys. You can have impact. So basically 3 things. Make connections. Be really tightly coupled with your company, across orgs, your executives, your leaders if possible. If you can get in front of your clients and customers, if that's appropriate for your business, that's going to make a big difference in your understanding and how you can guide your team. Communicate effectively. Sometimes you're going to have to stand up and say no. Voice your opinions, but don't make enemies, and talk to anybody who can listen about what your ideas are. And then lastly, keep an MVP mindset. One thing you can push is being iterative in how you build things. Don't go in too deep off the end. Test in the market, especially if you're hesitant to a new idea that you may disagree with, and use MVPs to back up your own ideas. So that's it. Thank you so much. You can contact. Excited to talk to you guys more about this, and I got a QR code with some links to get in touch with me. Thank you.